Everyone talks about Singapore, some hype Indonesia, but quietly, powerfully, Malaysia is making moves. Tech giants are pouring in billions, global investors are circling, and the streets, they're buzzing with ambition. But here's the million-dollar question. Can Malaysia truly become a high-income nation by 2030? Or will it fall into the same trap that swallowed so many promising economies before? Stick around, because what we uncover in the next few minutes could change how you see Malaysia and Southeast Asia forever. The world is shifting. Old powers are fading, new players are rising, and right in the heart of it all stands Malaysia. With a strategic location, tech ambitions, and growing geopolitical influence, Malaysia is no longer playing catch-up. It's rewriting the rules. In this video, we dive into the bold vision of Malaysia 2030. Is it just hype, or is it really happening? And more importantly, what does the future hold for the 33 million people who call this nation home? Malaysia's current economic strengths. To understand where Malaysia is going, you first have to understand what's already working in its favor. And there's more than most people realize. Malaysia sits in one of the most strategically valuable locations on the planet. Right at the crossroads of the Indian Ocean and the South China Sea, two of the world's most critical shipping lanes. That's not just geography, that's leverage. Trade routes worth trillions pass right by Malaysia's doorstep. That makes it a natural gateway between East and West, and a key player in global logistics and maritime trade. But it's not just about location. The numbers tell a story of strength. Malaysia's GDP per capita is already almost double that of Thailand, and its labor productivity ranks among the highest in ASEAN. In fact, Malaysia consistently outperforms many of its neighbors on global competitiveness indexes, infrastructure development, and ease of doing business. What's more, Malaysia is quietly becoming a tech manufacturing powerhouse. It's already the second largest exporter of semiconductors in Southeast Asia, and major multinationals are taking notice. Google and Microsoft are setting up cloud regions. Tesla is establishing headquarters. ByteDance is investing heavily in AI R&D right in Malaysia. Why? Because Malaysia offers a combination few others do: low-cost energy, affordable land, and a growing English-speaking, tech-savvy workforce. In other words, if you're a global tech company looking for your next regional hub, Malaysia makes sense. Now here's a moment of pause and a question for you, the viewer. With all this potential, do you think Malaysia is finally getting the global recognition it deserves? Or is it still being overshadowed by its louder neighbors? Let me know below. I want to hear your perspective. Here's another angle often missed by mainstream analysts. Malaysia isn't just selling raw materials anymore. It's moving up the value chain. The government is pushing hard to build its digital economy, aiming to attract over $100 billion in high-tech investment in the coming years. Sectors like AI, green energy, semiconductors, and digital finance are no longer side projects. They're national priorities. And unlike some developing nations that lean too heavily on foreign talent, Malaysia is investing in its people. Programs like My Digital and various TVET, technical and vocational education and training initiatives, are aimed at preparing the next generation of Malaysians to lead, not just follow. The momentum is building. But the question isn't whether Malaysia has the raw material for greatness, it's whether it can turn that material into a long-term engine of transformation. Because the foundation is solid. But what comes next will require more than potential. It will require political will, smart policy, and bold reform. And as we move to the next section, we'll see why that's where what's holding Malaysians back. On paper, Malaysia looks like a rising star, but for millions of Malaysians living day to day, the story feels different. Beneath the headlines, there's a quiet frustration, a sense that progress is happening, but not for everyone, that wages are growing, but not fast enough, that opportunities exist, but only for a few. This is what economists call the middle income trap, and Malaysia has been stuck in it for years. Here's what it means in real terms. Malaysia has outgrown its low-wage, low-skill phase. It's no longer the cheap factory of the world, but it hasn't yet built the innovation-driven, high-income ecosystem that creates enough high-paying jobs for its people. It's a dangerous limbo, where costs of living rise but salaries don't keep up, where talent leaves for Singapore or Australia, and where too many young people feel they need to go abroad just to make it. Since 2014, Malaysia's GDP per capita has barely moved in real terms. The economy is growing, yes, but it's not lifting everyone equally. And that's where frustration turns into something deeper, a loss of confidence. Corruption scandals, slow policy rollouts, and public sector inefficiencies have also played a role in eroding trust. Many Malaysians don't doubt the country's potential, but they do doubt whether the system is working for them. Now pause for a second. If you're watching this from Malaysia or even outside, what's your take? Do you believe the average Malaysian feels more optimistic or more uncertain about the future today than 10 years ago? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every one of them. Here's the real dilemma. While foreign investors are bullish on Malaysia, the people who matter most, Malaysians themselves, are cautious. That disconnect could slow everything down. Because no matter how good the numbers look on a graph, real economic progress only happens when people believe it's worth investing their time, energy, and lives into the future of their country. And that brings us to the real turning point. Can Malaysia inspire its own people the same way it inspires outside investors? Because if it can't, even the best laid plans could stall before they take off. Coming up next, we'll explore how Malaysia's past, from British colonialism to the industrial boom of the 80s, shaped this moment, and how understanding that history could reveal the roadmap to finally breaking through. Malaysia's economic journey, from rubber to silicon chips. To understand where Malaysia is headed, we have to understand where it's been. For decades, Malaysia's economy relied on rubber, tin, and palm oil, legacies of colonial rule. But in the 1980s, the country made a bold pivot. Inspired by the rise of Asian tigers like South Korea and Taiwan, Malaysia shifted into manufacturing and exports. Electronics, especially semiconductors, became a national focus. This strategy worked for a while. The country saw growth rates above 7% annually, lifting millions out of poverty and transforming cities like Kuala Lumpur and Penang into economic hubs. But then came the 1997 Asian financial crisis. Overnight, currencies collapsed, investments dried up, and trust in Southeast Asia's miracle economies was shaken. Malaysia bounced back, but growth never returned to its roaring pace. Here's a question for you. Did Malaysia's growth stall because of external shocks or internal complacency? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what you think caused the slowdown. Because now, as the world enters a new economic era driven by AI, green tech, and digital trade, Malaysia must decide whether to play it safe or take bold steps again. Up next, we dive into the middle income trap and what Malaysia must do now to escape it. 4. The middle income trap and the race to escape it. Malaysia today is wealthier than many of its neighbors, but not quite rich. That's the middle income trap, a phase where wages rise just enough to price out low-cost industries, but not enough to compete with high-tech economies. It's where innovation stalls, education gaps widen, and growth slows, unless something drastic changes. Countries like South Korea and Taiwan broke free. How? By investing heavily in R&D, pushing higher education, and supporting industries that went beyond just assembling tech. They started inventing it. Malaysia is at a similar crossroads. Yes, it's attracting big names like Google and Microsoft, but that's not enough. To truly break out, Malaysia must double down on quality education, rebuild trust in governance, and invest in homegrown innovation, not just foreign capital. And here's a thought. Can Malaysia lead Southeast Asia in AI, green energy, or advanced manufacturing? Or will it stay stuck competing on cheap labor and exports? Let's debate in the comments. What's Malaysia's best path forward? If reforms accelerate, the World Bank believes Malaysia can cross into high-income status by 2028-2030. But every year of delay pushes that finish line further away. Coming up next, what the future could look like and how Malaysia in 2030, a glimpse into the future. Picture this. It's the year 2030. The world's biggest tech brands have regional HQs in Malaysia. AI startups are scaling. Green energy exports are booming. The nation isn't just catching up. It's setting the pace in Southeast Asia. That's not fantasy. It's one of the most plausible outcomes if Malaysia plays its cards right. With its location straddling key trade routes, low-cost power, rising digital infrastructure, and political will finally aligning, Malaysia has the chance to become a serious innovation hub. Think regional fintech leader, semiconductor giant, AI development lab, even a magnet for remote work and data centers. But here's the catch, and it's big. Success depends on speed and stability. Will Malaysia push reforms fast enough to stay ahead of the curve? And what about global risks, inflation, climate shock, supply chain wars? Can Malaysia build resilience and momentum? Imagine this, a Johor-Singapore economic zone that rivals Hong Kong's Shenzhen. Could that partnership become the new powerhouse of Asia? Drop your predictions in the comments. Will Malaysia lead the region by 2030? Or will it miss its moment? Stick around. In the next section, we'll break down the biggest risks Malaysia faces and how they could shape or shake its economic future. Key challenges to watch. Malaysia's rise isn't guaranteed, and here's why. First, the country still imports too much of its food. A global supply chain shock or climate crisis could send food prices soaring, especially for low-income households. That's not just an economic issue, it's a national security one. Then there's inequality. Urban centers like KL are racing ahead, but rural communities are falling behind. Without targeted development, Malaysia risks growing richer on average, but more divided in reality. And let's talk about corruption, or at least the perception of it. Even small scandals scare off big investors. If Malaysia wants to lead in tech and finance, it needs transparency as strong as its talent pool. Here's something to think about. Can Malaysia build a system where innovation thrives without favoritism? Where every entrepreneur, not just the well-connected, gets a real shot? Leave your thoughts below, especially if you're Malaysian. What do you think is the biggest threat to Malaysia's future? And don't go anywhere. We'll wrap this up next with a bold, forward-looking conclusion you don't want to miss. Conclusion: the road ahead for Malaysia. Malaysia stands at a crossroads. It has the ambition, the talent, the resources, and the attention of the world. Tech giants are betting on it. Young Malaysians are innovating. Investors are watching closely, and Southeast Asia as a region is rising fast. But progress isn't automatic. The next 5 years will define the next 50. If Malaysia doubles down on transparency, innovation, education, and sustainable development, it won't just join the ranks of high-income nations. It will lead the next wave of emerging powerhouses. This isn't just about GDP or global rankings. It's about whether the average Malaysian in the city or the countryside can live with dignity, opportunity, and a future worth fighting for. Now, here's where you come in. Do you believe Malaysia will make it by 2030, or is the hype bigger than the progress? Drop your take in the comments. Let's spark a real conversation. And if you found this breakdown valuable, hit that subscribe button. We dive deep into global trends that shape the world and your future. Don't miss